So I'd like to welcome Dr. Sanne Frequin. I got it right. So Sanne is an art historian specializing in digital art history. Her research focuses on the digital reconstruction of lost or damaged artifacts and on the use of digitized artifacts for research and education, particularly for early modern art. And she is going to talk to us this morning about a ship's globe in the Centraal Museum.
Thank you very much for this introduction and for inviting me. And before I start, I have to apologize because I have a special place in my heart for ugly things. So after all these wonderful maps, and now we are truly moving into a disaster zone, so to say. So I would like to take you on a journey 300 years back in time to October 1731. On this day, the East Indiaman de Berkenrode sailed from Batavia back to the Dutch island of Texel. And this VOC ship was under the supervision of Captain Juriaan Popta and carried 167 persons, 6 passengers and 161 persons crew. And here we see in Amsterdam a physical reconstruction of a East Indiaman, which you can visit, which I command. Our knowledge about the Dutch VOC vessels comes from the extensive archives of the VOC. And here we see an image of a VOC document. It contains the payment of 1260 guilders that Popta received, minus a debt of 300 guilders that was already paid to his wife, Annetje Prins. In addition to this source, we have passengers lists of the ship and information about the crew of the Berkenrode. But today I would like to speak about a less traditional source that we can relate to this journey, and that is this 18th century globe. And doesn't it look lovely? In the year 1878, a globe was found in the attic of the sacristy of the Dom Church in Utrecht. The globe was in a bad state. There was severe water damage on the northern hemisphere, and the colors on the entire globe had faded. The church donated the object to Centraal Museum Utrecht on a permanent loan, and it was exhibited in one of the stijlkamers, the style rooms of the museum, until 1921. And already in 1878, the museum noted that the globe was a one-of-a-kind object because of its inscriptions. And you can see the first one here near the island of Java. Here I have, yes, sorry, it's really bad. Here I have a detail, and it's barely visible. So we are lucky to have a partial transcription of the 19th century that translates: the maker and writer of this has left from Batavia to Amsterdam in the ship Berkenrode on the 18th of October in the year 1731. And this is not the only inscription that makes the globe special. These white arrows show points that are connected by a dotted line. And each point represents every 5th day of the journey of the ship between October until its arrival on June 18 in Texel. The journey starts at Batavia and it goes southward through the southern tropic, Tropische Capricorni, it's noted on the globe, and passes the eastern coast of Africa in the direction of Cape of Good Hope. And here we see a wonderful animation made by a 3D model. Near Cape of Good Hope we can read another inscription. Inwaarts om 25 op de Rede. The ship arrived on December 28, 1731 at the Redekaap, an anchorage of the VOC. It stayed there for 6 days and then continued to journey to Texel. We can follow the dotted line via the western coast of Africa through the compass rose, and then we unfortunately lose it because of the water damage at the border of the northern and the southern Atlantic. After 1921, the globe was put... Oh, here we have the inscription near Cape of Good Hope. After 1921, the globe was put in the depot of the museum, only to be rediscovered in 2023. The museum wanted to include the globe in its new permanent exhibition because of its relationship to Dutch colonialism. However, the globe is too damaged to exhibit. Because of the lack of varnish, the information on the globe is literally fading. Marije Verduin, head of collections of Centraal Museum Utrecht, reached out to Utrecht University with the question of how to safeguard the data on the globe and how we could ensure accessibility to the globe. It was restored and was temporarily put on display in the museum, but since June of this year it has returned to the depot, and the object is very unlikely to ever leave the depot for exhibition again, so it's not accessible anymore. So to summarize, the terminus post quem of this object is 1731. The journey of the Berkenrode is noted on the globe. It was not varnished, it had no protection against the water that damaged the entire northern hemisphere. And to conclude, in the 60s of the last century, a rather drastic restoration campaign has been carried out. And you see it over here. A restorer drilled a hole in the globe. We have absolutely no clue why, but he destroyed it and then he tried to fix it. And as you can see, not in a good way. It is closed rather amateurishly. So, forming an international multidisciplinary team of heritage professionals, Centraal Museum, technical specialists, a Factum Foundation, Jorge is here, we see him on the picture, and scholars from Utrecht University, we decided that the 3D digital reconstruction of the globe would be a solution for our challenge. We decided to use photogrammetry and Factum Selene scanner to capture the data. And on this picture, you can see our research master student Romee van Oostenbrugge, together with Jorge, deciding on which parts of the globe would be scanned with the Selene scanner. So this project has 3 goals. We want to secure the information. The advantage of making a 3D model over traditional 2D photography is that we are able to secure the spatial data of the globe. So to simply put it, a globe is round, and taking a 2D picture does never do justice to this important feature. We wanted to improve accessibility for researchers and the general public. The fact that we can handle the globe virtually and turn it around in all directions makes it easier to investigate the object. The data can be shared with other researchers and the general public, thus ensuring accessibility, even now after the globe is returned to the museum depot. And the third goal is analyzing the making process and the materiality of the globe. This globe is an enigma. It's not comparable to other contemporary globes that were manufactured by professional globe makers of the early 18th century. And this element will be the focus of my presentation today. So the archival data on the globe is scarce. However, Dutch globe specialist Peter van den Krocht has been able to connect the globe to a specific person, Jan Cornelis van Zorgen. Van Zorgen was in charge of the island Unrest, near Jakarta. He started working on the island as a carpenter, and 2 years later he obtained a position as manager of the carpenters working in the ship repair at the island. He traveled back to the Low Countries with his family, his wife Eva and his 2 children Adrianus and Magdalena, and his mother-in-law Magdalena van Meekeren. The 2 sons of Van Zorgen had an important position within the Utrecht Protestant Church, and Van der Krocht argues that one of the sons of Cornelis might have been responsible for the donation or loan of the globe to the church after the death of Cornelis. Unfortunately, we do not have any additional archival sources that can tell us more about whom and when and where the globe was produced. Did Cornelis van Zorgen order the globe? Or did he perhaps make it himself? Was the globe taken on the journey of the Berkenrode, or was it created later as a memento? We do have one important source, and that's the object itself. The materiality of the globe can tell us about its creation. And we have used the 3D data captured by Factum Foundation to analyze this materiality of the object. And today I would like to present our hypothesis. We have created 2 digital reconstructions, a 3D scan of the globe, so a high-resolution photogrammetry, a model, and John has already explained to you how that works, and the unwrapped version of the 3D model, in addition of what we added the data of the Selene photometric stereo system. So the photogrammetry model is the 3D model that you have seen in the animation that I've shown you of the journey of Berkenrode. There are multiple other examples of digitized globes. Heritage institutions show 3D models of their globes in their collection on their website. And this is an example of the terrestrial Blauw globe of the Hendrik Conscience Library in Antwerp. There are also collections of 3D models of globes, for example, the virtual globe museum of the Department of Cartography and Geoinformatics. And now you have to apologize, or I have to apologize because I will pronounce this wrong. Eötvös Loránd University in Budapest. And the virtual map collection takes this one step further because they present on their website not only high resolution models of globes, but they also give the opportunity to transform the globe into a flat 2D surface. This transformation of a three-dimensional surface of a globe to a flat plane is, in my opinion, a very valuable research tool. The virtual deconstruction of a globe literally retraces the making process of the globe. A professionally crafted globe would be printed from a gore plate, such as this beautiful example from the National Maritime Museum in Greenwich. The printed gores would have been cut and pasted on a plaster sphere, and that would have been balanced with a lead shot and varnished to protect it. Deconstructing the 3D model of the globe allows us to take a look at the gores of the globe in their flat state. And for professionally created globes, it would allow the opportunity to compare different versions and to very precisely map the changes in the gores. In case of the Utrecht globe, the deconstruction meant that the 3D model was flattened in no less than 36 gores. We have tried to follow the lines of the gores as precisely as possible. However, it was not always possible to cut the globe at the exact lines of the gores. The flattened version of the globe also allowed us to implement the Selene data of on the gores. And I would like to demonstrate the impact of using a detail of the globe, one of the 11 compass roses. Here we see the photogrammetry data of the compass rose. And when we use the Factum viewer and switch to the Selene data, it immediately becomes clear what the extra value of this flattened version is for the study of the materiality of the globe. And again, we have seen this before in the examples of this session. The high-resolution data of Selene shows the intricate variations in depth, or as we might call it, the 2.5D info of the surface of the globe. And it might seem a strange thing for an art historian to say, but removing the color information gives us a lot more information about the making process of the globe. So, what do the 2.5 and 3D information on the models tell us about the making process? In the final part of my presentation, I will discuss the different elements of the globe that can be considered clues for reconstructing the making process. The globe contains 11 compass roses, and this example shows that the element pointing to the true east, so this, is, to nicely put it, somewhat primitive. Each rose, however, is different in form and color. Compass roses can be used to indicate a workshop of a maker, and in their publication Sailing to the East, Schilder and Kok provide an overview of the most common compass roses on VOC charts. Comparison shows that none of the compass roses on the globe exactly matches the VOC chart roses, but the primitive form of the roses and the mistakes that were made when drawing them, and I will come back to this later, seems to suggest that the maker of the globe tried to imitate these compass roses. The animals on the globe are also quite simple renderings of species. The quality of the line, however, points to a trained hand. The elephant is instantly recognizable by its tusk, it's my favorite element of the globe, and the monkey is set up in a sketch-like fashion but with clear and steady lines. There are also 15 different types of ships on the globe, both on the southern and the northern hemisphere. Some are placed near the root of the Berkenrode. And we have 2 different types of text on the object, in all caps and in handwriting. And it's important to note that all places are written down in Dutch. So in this detail, we read woest en steenachtig Arabië, and translated it's wild and stony Arabia. Time does not permit me to extensively analyze the cartography of the globe, and I am by no means a connoisseur of 18th century cartography, but fortunately our research master student Romee and my esteemed colleague Professor Marta Frerichs have analyzed the map of Africa. And they discovered that the form and size of the continent is not accurate within the continent and also in relation to the other continents. Let me see. For example, Madagascar is too big and placed too far south, and the maker has used dotted lines to mark borders of African lands and regions that are made up. The ecliptic is also an interesting element. In most globes, the ecliptic goes up from the central meridian. In the case of our globe, it goes the other way. And there are some other examples of this, for example, Corneli globes. Yes, here we have Africa. Yes, there I am. So the formal analysis of the material. The globe is made, of course, of paper pasted onto a perfectly round papier-mâché globe. It's a large globe, much larger than globes within the standardized formats that were produced in the Dutch globe-making firms of this time. It's hand-drawn with VOC ink. When looking at the Selene data, it appeared that the paper is rasterized, and that's also something that we saw in the presentation of John. And they have been using a stylus for this. These rasters do not follow the lines of the gore, so they're not following the roundness of the globe, but they are straight squares. And we know this technique from drawings and cartons, where it's used to enlarge copies. And it will not come as a surprise for you, but all over the globe we see a lot of small holes, probably made by a compass. They are part of the equator and the ecliptic, but they can also be found at the western coastal line of Africa and below some letters of the names of lands and continents. And here I've marked them with red dots. So you see the same tracing techniques that we have seen earlier today. Selene image also showed deeper stylus lines for rivers, the ecliptic, the equator, and for the compass roses and rump lines. And in this detail, we can see that the maker has made a mistake. You see here, there is a wrong line in the compass rose. He made sure to correct it by putting a deeper line on the right space. The second details shows that only the rivers were drawn using the stylus. Considering this data, we can hypothesize that the stylus was used to create the raster and to draw the equator and the ecliptic. A compass needle was used to mark the coastal line and the place for the letters from the names of the continent and other places. And this preparation serves as a basis for the drawing of the map. For this, VOC ink was used. Everyone who has ever written with a dip pen in primary school knows that it's not a good idea to push your dip pen. So it's not strange that we do not have this topographical information for the ink. After the creation of the map, color was applied to it. And unfortunately, due to the damage, very little is visible of this. The entire globe has decolorized to a dull brown, and only the compass roses give an idea of the original colors. And there is a kind of striking blue visible in the north of America. So what does this information tell us about the making process of the globe? The raster and points indicate that the maker of the globe has used maps that he transferred to the gores using a raster, and points to make sure that all information was put on the right spots. There is a possibility that he used an existing set of gores and that he copied them. We have until now not been able to connect the globe to an existing contemporary earlier globe. And the larger size of the globe and the different size of the continent in relation to each other does let us think that it was not a specific set of gores, but more likely a collage of maps that were the basis for this globe. And we have not yet been able to pinpoint it to a specific map. So this is a call to all cartographers here. If you are looking for a challenge, then join us. The compass roses indicate that the maker looks at or knew compass roses of the VOC maps and tried to copy them on the globe. The rendering of the animals and the ships suggests a skillful hand, but these other aspects point into the direction of a skilled amateur. If we look at the suggested owner of the globe, Cornelis van Zorgen, could it be that he is also the maker of this globe? The inscription suggests so. But also the skill set of Cornelis van Zorgen may point in this direction. Because one of the most difficult parts of making a globe is creating a perfectly round sphere. And there's the possibility that the sphere was bought at a professional manufacturer and that the gores have been put up separately. But again, the size of the globe makes this not the most probable option. Keeping in mind that Cornelis was a skilled carpenter, it's also possible that he himself was responsible for creating the sphere. For someone with well-developed motor skills, making a round globe must have been a feasible challenge. And this brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope to have demonstrated that the materiality of this object can help us to get a better understanding of the creation of the globe. The high-quality 3D scans and the 2.5D unwrapped version of the globe allow us to look at the object with new eyes. This is work in progress. By improving the data, we hope to be able to get a better view of the cartography. We would like to digitize other globes in the same way to be able to compare the object and to get a better understanding of the materiality. And my dream would be to create a physical facsimile of the restored globe, to gain a better understanding of the object, but also to let the public see the result of the labor of this skilled individual that wanted a memento of the journey of his lifetime. I would like the opportunity to thank Factum Foundation for their contribution and the Centraal Museum for giving us the opportunity to work with this amazing object. Student Romee van Oosterbrugge of the Research Master Art History carried out the preliminary research for this project, and Marco van Egmond of the Special Collections of Utrecht University helped us thinking about the cartography. Thank you very much for your attention.